if you've recently been told your creatinine is higher than normal, or you've started noticing changes like foamy urine in the morning, waking up multiple times at night to urinate, or a constant sense of fatigue that doesn't quite make sense, then what you're about to hear here deserves your full attention, because these are not random symptoms. They are often early signals that your kidneys are under strain, and what you do next in your daily life, especially with your diet, can influence where things go from here. My name is Dr. Jason Fun, and I've been a practicing nephrologist for over 25 years. During that time, I've worked with thousands of patients, many of them older adults here in the United States, who came into my office feeling anxious, confused, and overwhelmed after hearing words like kidney disease or seeing their lab results change without understanding why. And almost every week, I hear the same question repeated in different ways. Is there anything I can eat that will actually help my kidneys? The honest answer is yes, but not in the way most people hope. There is no single miracle food, no overnight fix, and no quick reset for kidney function. What matters is consistency, food quality, and understanding how certain nutrients interact with a weakened filtering system. Your kidneys are constantly working to remove waste from your blood, and when they begin to slow down, even small dietary choices can either support them or place more pressure on them. What I want to share with you is not internet hype or exaggerated claims. I've seen far too much misinformation online promising to drop creatinine in days or reverse kidney disease instantly. That is not what this is. Everything I'm going to explain is grounded in established clinical research, supported by nephrology guidelines, and aligned with what organizations like the National Kidney Foundation and major clinical institutions actually recommend. Over the next sections, I'm going to walk you through 5 vegetables that have real scientific support when it comes to kidney health. These are foods that may help reduce the burden on your kidneys, support overall function, and in some cases help stabilize or gradually improve elevated creatinine when combined with appropriate medical care and lifestyle changes. But just as important as what you eat is how you prepare it, because preparation mistakes can sometimes cancel out the benefits entirely. Before we go into the list, I want to make one thing very clear. Creatinine is not just a random number on your lab report. It is a waste product created when your muscles break down a compound called creatine, which they use for energy. Normally, your kidneys filter this waste out of your bloodstream and remove it through urine. When kidney function is strong, creatinine stays within a stable range. But when kidney function declines, that number begins to rise, signaling that waste is not being cleared as efficiently as it should be. Now, the first vegetable I want to talk about is one that is often overlooked, yet it has significant relevance for kidney support. It is red cabbage. Most people don't associate it with kidney health at all, but nutritionally, it has several properties that make it especially interesting in this context. And understanding why starts with understanding what your kidneys are actually struggling with in the first place, including filtration load, inflammation, and mineral balance. Red cabbage is not just another vegetable on the plate. It is low in key minerals that kidney patients often need to monitor carefully, and it contains natural compounds that may help reduce inflammatory stress in the body. But before we get into the details of how it works and why it matters, it's important to understand what makes kidney-friendly nutrition so different from general healthy eating, because what is good for one system in the body is not always automatically safe for another. Red cabbage begins to stand out because it fits into kidney nutrition in a way many common healthy foods simply do not. When people hear eat more vegetables, they often assume every plant food is automatically beneficial in large amounts. But kidney health doesn't work that way. What matters is not only nutritional value, but also how much strain a food places on your body's ability to balance minerals like potassium and phosphorus. One of the key reasons red cabbage is so useful here is its low potassium content. In kidney disease, especially from stage 3 onward, the kidneys lose some ability to remove excess potassium from the blood. When potassium rises too high, it can disrupt muscle function and, more importantly, heart rhythm. That's why foods like bananas, potatoes, and tomatoes, while nutritious in a general sense, sometimes need to be limited in certain kidney patients. Red cabbage, however, contains only about 170 milligrams of potassium in a half-cup serving, which is considered relatively low. That makes it far easier to include in a kidney-conscious diet without constantly worrying about pushing potassium levels upward. It provides volume, texture, and nutrition without adding significant electrolyte burden. But potassium is only part of the picture. Phosphorus is another mineral that becomes harder to regulate when kidney function declines. When phosphorus builds up in the blood, it can slowly pull calcium from the bones, weakening bone structure over time. And it also contributes to calcification in blood vessels. This is one of the hidden reasons cardiovascular risk rises in people with chronic kidney disease. Red cabbage is naturally low in phosphorus, which makes it safer in this context compared to many processed or protein-heavy foods. Where red cabbage becomes even more interesting is in its plant compounds, especially anthocyanins. These are the pigments responsible for its deep purple-red color. Beyond appearance, anthocyanins are biologically active compounds that have been widely studied for their anti-inflammatory properties. In chronic kidney disease, inflammation is not just a side effect, it is part of the disease process itself. Ongoing inflammation can accelerate damage to kidney tissue over time, making it harder for remaining functional units to do their job. By providing natural anti-inflammatory compounds, red cabbage doesn't reverse existing damage, but it may help reduce some of these ongoing stress placed on kidney tissue. That distinction is important. This is not about curing kidney disease. It is about slowing progression and supporting remaining function for as long as possible. However, how you prepare red cabbage matters just as much as eating it. One of the most common mistakes is overcooking it until it becomes soft and loses its color. That deep purple tone is not just visual, it reflects the presence of anthocyanins. When red cabbage is exposed to prolonged heat, many of these compounds break down, reducing its potential benefits. In other words, the more you cook it, the more you reduce what makes it special in the first place. The better approach is to keep it as close to its natural state as possible. Eating it raw, such as shredded into salads or slaws, preserves the highest level of these beneficial compounds. If cooking is preferred, then light steaming for just a few minutes is usually enough. The goal is to soften it slightly without stripping away its color. A simple visual cue is useful here. If the cabbage shifts from a vibrant purple to a dull bluish gray, it has likely been overcooked. There is also an interesting metabolic angle that is often overlooked. Red cabbage has mild alkalizing properties in the body. In chronic kidney disease, some patients develop a condition known as metabolic acidosis, where the body becomes slightly more acidic over time. This imbalance can contribute to faster progression of kidney decline if not managed. Diets richer in plant-based alkalizing foods may help support better acid-based balance, which is one reason vegetables like red cabbage are often encouraged in kidney-friendly eating patterns. A realistic intake for most people would be around 1 serving 3 to 4 times per week. It is affordable, widely available, and easy to incorporate into meals without major dietary changes. It can be used in salads, wraps, side dishes, or even light soups depending on preference. And while red cabbage is a strong foundation, it is only the beginning of the dietary picture. The next vegetable is one that surprises many people because it has a reputation that doesn't fully reflect its role in kidney-friendly nutrition. That vegetable is cauliflower. Cauliflower is one of those foods that often gets overlooked because it seems too simple to be important. When I mention it to patients, I usually see the same reaction, a bit of doubt, sometimes even surprise. But in kidney nutrition, simplicity is not a weakness. In many cases, it's exactly what makes a food valuable. What makes cauliflower stand out is that it delivers nutrition while keeping the metabolic load on the kidneys relatively low. Like red cabbage, it is naturally low in potassium and phosphorus, two minerals that become more difficult for the kidneys to regulate as kidney function declines. A half-cup serving of cooked cauliflower contains roughly 88 milligrams of potassium and about 22 milligrams of phosphorus, which places it among the more kidney-friendly vegetables available in a typical grocery store. That matters because in chronic kidney disease, every extra milligram of potassium or phosphorus has to be carefully managed. The kidneys don't fail all at once. They gradually lose efficiency, and during that process, even small dietary imbalances can add up over time. Foods like cauliflower help provide nutrition without significantly increasing that regulatory burden. But the benefits of cauliflower go beyond just mineral content. It contains a group of compounds called glucosinolates, which the body breaks down into indoles, and isothiocyanates. These are not just chemical terms. They are biologically active compounds that have been studied for their role in reducing oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress is one of the silent drivers of kidney damage. Inside the kidneys are millions of tiny filtering units called nephrons. These nephrons do the actual work of filtering waste from the blood. Once they are damaged beyond repair, they do not regenerate. This is one of the key challenges in kidney disease. The body has limited ability to replace what is lost. So the focus shifts from recovery to protection, preserving what remains for as long as possible. This is where reducing oxidative stress becomes important. When oxidative stress is high, it creates an environment that accelerates damage to these delicate filtering structures. Compounds found in cauliflower may help reduce that stress, offering indirect support to the remaining kidney function. It is not about rebuilding what is already lost, but about slowing further decline. Cauliflower also contains choline, a nutrient that is gaining attention in kidney research. One of the most concerning symptoms for many patients is protein in the urine, often noticed as foamy urine. This is a sign that the kidney's filtration barrier is not working properly and is allowing protein to leak into the urine. Over time, higher levels of protein loss are linked to faster progression of kidney disease. Emerging research suggests that nutrients like choline may play a role in supporting the structural integrity of that filtration system. The evidence is still developing, but it is promising enough that cauliflower has earned attention in clinical nutrition discussions. It is not a treatment for proteinuria, but it may be part of a broader dietary pattern that supports kidney stability. How cauliflower is prepared also makes a real difference. One common mistake is boiling it in large amounts of water and then discarding the water without thinking about what has been lost. While this method can reduce potassium content, it also removes water-soluble nutrients and beneficial compounds. For many patients, a better approach is steaming or roasting, which helps preserve more of its nutritional profile. If boiling is used, then draining and discarding the water can be helpful in specific cases where potassium levels need to be reduced more aggressively, but this should be guided by a healthcare professional familiar with the patient's lab results. Kidney nutrition is not one size fits all, and what is appropriate for one stage of disease may not be appropriate for another. I often share a real-world example to make this more practical. I once worked with a patient in his late 60s managing stage 3 chronic kidney disease alongside type 2 diabetes. His diet was inconsistent, and he was unknowingly consuming foods that were pushing his potassium levels higher than ideal. After working with a renal dietitian, we simplified his meals and focused on vegetables like cauliflower and red cabbage as core components. Over several months, combined with medication adjustments and better hydration, his kidney markers stabilized, and he reported feeling more energetic and less fatigued. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, and it wasn't caused by diet alone, but nutrition played a meaningful supporting role in his overall stability. A practical target for most people would be around 3 to 5 servings of cauliflower per week, prepared in ways that preserve its nutrients, light roasting or steaming being the most effective. It is versatile enough to replace higher starch foods like potatoes or rice in many meals, which also helps reduce overall potassium and carbohydrate load. And while cauliflower is a strong second step in this dietary approach, the next vegetable is where things become more surprising for many viewers. It is something people often assume might be too strong or even risky for kidney health, but the evidence suggests a different story. That next vegetable is garlic. Garlic is where many people start to hesitate because it doesn't feel like a vegetable in the background the way cabbage or cauliflower does. It feels stronger, more medicinal, and that alone makes some patients assume it might be risky for the kidneys. But when we look at the clinical evidence, garlic tells a very different story, and in fact, it plays a surprisingly supportive role in kidney health when used correctly. One of the most important things to understand about chronic kidney disease is that it rarely begins with the kidneys alone. In most cases, it develops over time because of underlying conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes. In fact, these two conditions are responsible for the majority of kidney disease cases in the United States. High blood pressure slowly damages the delicate blood vessels inside the kidneys, reduce their ability to filter blood efficiently. Over time, this leads to a gradual decline in function and a rise in creatinine. This is where garlic becomes relevant. Garlic contains active sulfur compounds, especially allicin, which is formed when raw garlic is crushed or chopped. This compound is widely studied for its anti-inflammatory and cardiovascular effects. More importantly, for kidney health, garlic has been shown to have a measurable effect on blood pressure regulation. Meta-analyses of controlled clinical trials have found that regular garlic intake can lead to modest but consistent reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure, often in the range of a few millimeters of mercury. While that may sound small in long-term kidney health, even small reductions in blood pressure can significantly reduce stress on the kidneys. The key point is not dramatic change, but sustained protection over time. Lower blood pressure means less mechanical stress on the tiny blood vessels that supply the nephrons. When those vessels are constantly under high pressure, they become damaged and stiff over time, reducing the kidney's ability to filter waste. By helping support healthier blood pressure levels, garlic indirectly supports kidney function by protecting the vascular system that the kidneys depend on. Garlic also has anti-inflammatory properties that are relevant in a different but equally important way. Chronic kidney disease is not just a mechanical filtration problem. It is also a condition driven by ongoing low-grade inflammation. Over time, this inflammation contributes to scarring in kidney tissue, a process known as fibrosis. Fibrosis replaces healthy, functioning tissue with stiff, non-functional scar tissue, which cannot filter blood. Early research suggests that compounds in garlic may help reduce the activation of certain cells involved in this fibrotic process. While this area of study is still developing and not yet definitive, it points to a plausible mechanism by which garlic may help slow structural deterioration in kidney tissue. However, how garlic is used matters significantly. One of the most important preparation details is something most people are unaware of. The beneficial compound allicin is not fully present in garlic until it is chopped or crushed and allowed to rest for several minutes. If garlic is thrown directly into heat immediately after being chopped, much of the enzyme activity responsible for forming allicin is reduced before it fully develops. A simple but important step is to crush or finely chop fresh garlic and let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. This small waiting period allows the active compounds to fully form, maximizing its potential benefits. It is a detail that many people skip, but it can meaningfully change the nutritional impact of garlic in cooking. In terms of quantity, 1 to 2 cloves per day used in regular cooking is generally considered reasonable for most people. Fresh garlic is preferred over processed forms like garlic salt, which introduces sodium, a major concern for kidney patients. Excess sodium can raise blood pressure and worsen fluid retention, which directly counteracts the benefits we are trying to achieve. That said, garlic is not appropriate for everyone without consideration. Patients who are taking blood-thinning medications need to be cautious, as garlic can have mild anticoagulant effects. Similarly, individuals with advanced kidney disease should always coordinate dietary changes with their nephrologist or renal dietitian, because nutritional needs become more individualized as kidney function declines. For most people in earlier stages of kidney disease, or those simply managing elevated creatinine, garlic represents a simple, accessible, and evidence-supported addition to the diet. It does not replace medication, and it is not a treatment on its own, but it can contribute meaningfully to a broader strategy focused on reducing inflammation, supporting blood pressure, and protecting kidney function over time. And as we move forward, the next vegetables are where things become even more practical and surprising, especially in how everyday foods can deliver strong nutritional benefits without placing extra stress on the kidneys. Red bell pepper is one of those vegetables that often surprises people when they see it included in a kidney-supportive diet because it doesn't look like a medical food at all. It looks simple, colorful, and even sweet compared to many traditional vegetables. But in kidney nutrition, simplicity combined with density of nutrients is exactly what makes it so valuable. What makes red bell pepper stand out first is its exceptional vitamin C content. A single medium-sized red bell pepper can contain around 190 milligrams of vitamin C, which is more than double the daily requirement for most adults. Vitamin C plays an important role in protecting blood vessels and supporting the immune system, but in the context of kidney health, its antioxidant properties are especially relevant. The kidneys are highly vascular organs, meaning they contain a dense network of blood vessels that are constantly filtering blood. These delicate structures are vulnerable to oxidative stress, which is damage caused by unstable molecules known as free radicals. Over time, oxidative stress can contribute to the deterioration of kidney function. Vitamin C helps neutralize these free radicals, reducing oxidative burden and supporting the structural integrity of blood vessels and kidney tissue. There is also research suggesting that lower vitamin C levels are associated with poorer kidney function, although this is observational and does not prove direct causation. Still, the biological mechanism is well understood. Less oxidative stress generally means less cellular damage over time. Another important feature of red bell pepper is its potassium profile. Many vegetables that are rich in vitamins and antioxidants are also high in potassium, which can become problematic in later stages of kidney disease. However, red bell pepper provides a more balanced profile. It contains roughly 250 milligrams of potassium per medium pepper, which is significantly lower than foods like bananas or tomatoes. This allows patients to gain nutritional benefits without excessively increasing potassium intake. Red bell peppers also contain lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that is more commonly associated with tomatoes. Lycopene has been widely studied for its potential benefits in cardiovascular health, particularly in reducing oxidative stress and supporting vascular function. What makes red bell peppers especially interesting is that they offer this compound with a lower potassium load compared to many tomato-based sources, making them a more kidney-friendly alternative in certain dietary contexts. Beyond vitamins and antioxidants, red bell peppers also contribute fiber, which plays a growing role in kidney health research. The gut and kidneys are more connected than many people realize. This relationship is often referred to as the gut-kidney axis. When gut health is disrupted, harmful bacteria can produce toxins that enter the bloodstream and place additional stress on the kidneys. A diet rich in fiber helps support a healthier gut microbiome, encouraging beneficial bacteria while reducing the production of harmful metabolites. This emerging area of research suggests that supporting gut health may indirectly support kidney health as well. While this is still an evolving field, it reinforces the importance of including fiber-rich plant foods like red bell pepper in a balanced diet. When it comes to preparation, red bell pepper is one of the few vegetables where raw consumption is actually the most beneficial option. Vitamin C is sensitive to heat and can degrade during cooking, especially with prolonged exposure. Eating red bell pepper raw preserves the highest concentration of this nutrient. It can be sliced into salads, eaten as a snack, or paired with foods like hummus for added flavor and balance. If cooking is preferred, then quick methods such as light sautéing for just a few minutes are better than long roasting or boiling. The goal is to preserve as much of the vitamin content as possible while still making it enjoyable to eat. A practical intake for most individuals would be around half to 1 full red bell pepper per day, depending on dietary needs and overall potassium management. It is naturally sweet, widely available, and generally well tolerated, even by individuals who struggle with appetite changes or reduced taste sensitivity, which can sometimes occur in older adults or people on certain medications. As we move to the final vegetable in this list, the focus shifts to something that often raises questions because of its unique effects on the body. It is a vegetable that has a reputation for being both beneficial and misunderstood, especially when it comes to how it affects fluid balance and kidney function. That final vegetable is asparagus.